is not providing America more security in the long term. It's still inflaming tensions with the Middle East, with the Muslim world.
He doesn't have the problem of as much of setting up another Guantanamo. The fact that he's just wiping people out, where does that sit in terms of morality or...
Well, you know, I don't like it in the point of view that, from the point of view that I think that we've seen such a change here from President Bush, who captured people, introduced a torture program, was trying to get actionable intelligence out of people. No, I mean, that was awful. And, you know, and that led to a situation where the wrong people were being captured and torture is unacceptable under any circumstances. And we haven't, despite Dick Cheney's protestations, ever heard that that was useful, all of this stuff that happened. To decide then, under Obama, all that was inconvenient and rather troublesome, let's just take people out, is bypassing all the legal avenues, and it's reinforcing to me the notion that terrorism is part of a war and not what it always has been and still is in certain cases being tried in the US courts, like the underpants bomber who pled guilty yesterday.
Reed.
There is no the Abdul Muttalab, the Nigerian. Terrorism is a crime. So that legal process is carrying on. But on the other hand, there's another part whereby assassinations are taking place without any process whatsoever. Al-Awlaki, who's supposedly involved in the underpants bombing plot, why was he not in a courtroom to be able to be tried? And I have to say the same thing with Osama Bin Ladin. If this is the greatest mass murdering criminal of our time, he should have been tried.
Okay, let's head for the Agenda's electronic post room where Mohammed Walji selects the best Facebook responses to today's topic.
Thanks, Raza. Well, the issue of drone attacks certainly got our Facebook fans talking, starting with Zulfikar Banji from the UK, who said, "Drone attacks are the US's way of killing without taking responsibility morally and physically, and conveniently insulate their murdering soldiers from seeing the carnage they cause." Strong words there from Zulfikar. And Ali Latif from the southeast of England noted that drone attacks seem to have become the preferred method used by the US in targeting al-Qaeda suspects. This shift in tactics is reflective of a broader reworking of the war on terror that is characteristically more covert and less troop-heavy than during the Bush administration. He goes on, whilst Obama's administration has sought to publicly distance itself from controversial elements such as rendition and Guantanamo Bay, it's become apparent that drone attacks bring their own legal implications with them. And one of our contributors who wanted to remain anonymous was undecided about what they thought, saying, "I'm indifferent. I'm torn between the idea that robots are hunting in the sky, trying to attack evil, and clearly that must be a good thing, or the fact that it's more dangerous having a Big Brother effect where the skies are policed and making sniper kills. It almost stops being warfare and becomes assassins' tactics." They continue on saying, "I don't agree with the politics or religious beliefs of which the drones are attacking. These guys shouldn't exist, but I'm not sure if I think drones are a good way to morally sort out the problem." And Minnie Peters, a student from London, said that the USA has been using UAVs to attack parts of Pakistan. These attacks may be benefiting the so-called war on terror by removing some alleged al-Qaeda leaders. However, some politicians say the strikes can be called illegal under international law, as the USA has carried out strikes against a country that has not attacked it first. And our final word goes to Adam from London, who observed that under Obama tenure, drone attacks have increasingly become the weapon of choice for the US in the fight against the war on terror. Pakistan has been the most notable victim of drone attacks, which is otherwise nothing more than targeted killing, but they do not work. He goes on, "Such attacks are a violation of international law and contravene the right of states enshrined in the UN Charter to territorial integrity and sovereignty. While drone attacks are supposedly aimed at militants, in reality many innocent lives are caught in the crossfire, doing little to eradicate violent militants in the area, leaving behind resentment, collateral damage and loss of legitimacy. Drone attacks do not work." Well, that's all we've got time for. Back to you, Reza.
Well, in the last few minutes, let's get our guest's concluding remarks. Andy, if I can start off with yourself, you mentioned about the issue of torture under George Bush, and Obama seemed to have closed that and said there wasn't any accountability with regards to that. With the next president, if it is Obama or someone else, are we going to have this chapter being closed as well? American presidents are not going to be held to account for what they do?
Well, I would certainly say the way things stand at the moment that there is no desire for accountability for any of the actions that have taken place, either past or present. So, you know, I can't see what would trigger something happening. I mean, we're still, many of us, waiting for something to trigger some responsible actions with regard to the Bush administration. No, I mean, what worries me really is that this is a grey area, and I think it undeniably is a grey area, but there's no forum in which, beyond having programs like this, we can actually address the significance of those questions. Who's answerable? Ultimately, you know, we've heard that President Obama is answerable to his voters, but there's no other medium whereby we can really ask what the basis is on which this is happening. And we've had somebody taken out who, like I said, was not. We haven't had any proof that he was an operational leader. He was a propagandist. What about if we see somebody taken out who, you know, we've got a completely wrong target here, which is, you know, what happens in these cases.
Okay, Robert, should the theoretical possibility not exist that presidents of America should be held internationally accountable for what they have done?
Well, America values its sovereignty and its democratic institutions. Obama is accountable to the Supreme Court and, of course, the American voters, and indirectly the media as well.
But not internationally accountable to other countries.
Well, in some of these countries where drone attacks are happening, in a sense, they're failed states. Afghanistan was a failed state. Yemen, of course, is on its way to becoming a failed state if it's not already classified as such. And these areas of Pakistan are very, very lawless and independent, exist, in a sense, independent of the Pakistani government. Really, what we need to remember is the most important thing is security, and these targeted assassinations using drones will, of course, send a powerful message out, which is their main use, that being an active member of al-qaeda really is not beneficial to one's health.
So what is the solution? Where are we going to go with this? How do we make something possible in terms of accountability?
Well, I don't quite agree with Andy about it being a grey area, although I think I know what you mean, and certainly, Robert, I completely refute his suggestion that this is going to be a productive means of proceeding in terms of warfare. Basically, we need to bear in mind that if this has happened outside a judicial process, there's been no mechanism for this individual to surrender. A little bit like Jean-Charles de Menezes on London Underground in 2005. He was shot dead on the spot without any opportunity to surrender or even to understand why he was being held, and that was a misidentification. These kind of tactics are contrary to the Geneva Conventions. There is no rules of engagement going on. There's not even a person there. The law is far too important to be left to legal experts. I bid you that. But basically, there was no opportunity for him to be spoken to because it was a robot, and moreover, he was shot dead on the spot without a judicial process. That's contrary to the UN Convention of Human Rights.
Okay, I mean, with this whole the way that this is all going, I mean, where are we going to go with this? So that's the problem.
We have a legal system for a reason. It's to civilise these kind of Wild West tendencies. Those people who commissioned this from top to bottom should be brought before a court of law and tried.
Which
it's as simple as that. International Court or the Hague. There are various courts, and they need to be given the muscle.
We'll have to end it there. I'm sorry to have to cut you off. And it just remains for me to say a big thank you to all of our guests, and we hope that you'll join us again on the next agenda.